Welcome back, everybody! Welcome back to Little Shop of Nerds, the little podcast on YouTube that tells anything nerdy that we can talk about. From anime, video games, and movies, you know, the whole spiel. And like I said, we're at 17 subscribers now. Please give us a like and a comment and a subscription. Because if we get up to 100, we can show our faces and do some cosplay for y'all. Now, okay, here's me as Mike and my co-host.
I'm Julia.
And today our hint is
Hellfire.
which means we're going to be talking about a Disney movie, shocker, called The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which the Disney version, because I know there's other Hunchback of Notre Dame movies, but here's the thing, this one is a dark Disney cartoon movie, isn't it?
It actually is. I think it's one of the darker Disney movies that they have. It did come out in 1996.
Good year.
And it was just I feel like it's a very underrated Disney film.
I think so too.
It's one of them anyway.
If you look at the movie was done by hand drawing and computer draw, like computer animation.
Yeah, that's what I saw in the credits.
Like if you look at the bells when they do the first scene where the jester is talking about Quasimodo, how he got adopted by Judge Frollo. Mm-hmm. And you could tell when they said the part about it shows the picture of the bells, and you can tell it's made by computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And some of the crowds were made out of computer. You really had to.
Well, I mean, you can kind of tell when it's like computer generated and when it's not.
Yeah, it was kind of creepy.
I mean, now it's getting to the point where you can't tell if something, like sometimes you can tell if it's computer generated, but then sometimes you can't tell.
It's kind of like that Freakazoid episode. Freakazoid's an old cartoon that was made by the guys who made Animaniacs and stuff about a nutty superhero, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, him, the police chief, and this Scottish guy, they're sitting down watching the movie Congo, which is an old not a Disney movie, but an old movie that had Tim Curry in it with a terrible Romanian accent. Anyways, they're going by trying to see if it's a real gorilla or a guy in a suit. It's like, and police chief's, oh, that's a real gorilla. Now that's a guy in a suit. And when he gets to the Scottish guy, he's like, oh, that's guy. No, it's a man in a gorilla suit.
Okay. Well, we're getting off topic.
But you get the point. Nowadays, you can't tell which is live and anime. Like, even like the eighth Star Wars film, they brought back the fucking Yoda puppet.
Okay. I don't know. I've never watched that one. I haven't watched past episode 6.
Yeah. Anyways.
Which I think I said that in last week's episode.
Anyways, further on, like I said, it opens with this court jester who's a gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, we're not allowed to say gypsies anymore because it is we have to say the Romani people, but for the sake of this movie where they used gypsies, we're going to use gypsies. But we don't mean anything bad by it, okay?
Or we can just say Romanian. Or is Romanian bad too?
Romani.
Romani?
Well, just since we're talking about the movie and since that they use the word gypsies, I think it would be okay if we use gypsies.
Or we can just say fortune tellers. Or...
Well, I mean, but they're not all fortune tellers.
Okay, whatever we don't get canceled from, so let's just put it at that. Because right now, this whole political correctness thing. Alright, like I was saying, turns out Quasimodo was born Romani. Him and his mom. And the court jester is talking about how he got here. And pretty much the Romani people were being hunted by the Catholic judge. But in the book, he's a priest. But Frollo.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, they were hunting him because, racism back then. And people believe in witchcraft. Anyways, after, they get caught, being snuck into Paris. The Quasimodo's mother runs away, knocks on the church, saying she requires sanctuary. When someone's requiring sanctuary, meaning guards can't touch you, you're pretty much stuck there until you leave the grounds. So, what happened? She chased, she couldn't get in. Judge Furlow called him up, catch up with on the horse, kicks her and dies. I'm like,
no, when he kicked her, she fell and hit her head on the stone steps.
Yeah,
and that's how she died.
And the priest who comes saying, she requires sanctuary. You killed her on the steps of a church. Mm-hmm. Telling him that your conscience is going to eat at you.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it ain't. And this is one thing about the movie I liked. The Gotham the artistic styles of the church, the statues. Mm-hmm. You can tell they went to Notre Dame and actually sketched the church.
Well, I mean, usually, and they do this in anime and manga too, is that they will go and they will do trips to, like, so for, like, example with Emma, Victorian Romance, she actually, the mangaka actually went to England and she did a lot of sketching and everything like that as references. So they'll do that. They will go and actually visit the sites that they're trying to draw, so they can make it more realistic and don't, fuck something up.
Yeah, it's true. And after that, since Frodo was getting a little guilty because when the priest says, "Look, the eyes of Notre Dame is going to haunt you because of what you did." Mm-hmm. So he said, fine. But he says, I want you to take the kid and race at your church. So, okay, where? And he said, put him in the bell tower.
Yeah, so Quasimodo ended up being raised in the bell tower by Frollo. Basically because the priest of the cathedral of Notre Dame, he's like, yeah, you got to raise that child as your own now. And so Frollo put him in the bell tower, and that's where Quasimodo has basically lived for the last 20 years, was in the bell tower.
Was it 20 years?
It was 20 years, yep.
Huh. Then again, you kind of wonder how old Esmeralda is, too. Because, remember how in the Snow White, she was, 14? Or...
She was, Snow White was 14. Esmeralda I'm going to say, she can't have been, too young.
Maybe she was 18.
She might have been 18.
Either way, right? And after
But then again, at that time period, we don't know. I mean, I can always look it up while you're talking.
Right. Well, right now, okay. So after that, Quasimodo helps this little bird out of a gargoyle's mouth. Tell him, hey, if you stay here, you're going to be cooped. You don't want to stay here. Go fly free. So the little baby bird fly free. And the statues come to life. And the one statue is played by Jason Alexander. If you don't know who he is, if you ever watched Seinfeld, he played George Costanza.
He was also in Pretty Woman.
He was also in Pretty Woman. He was also in other films. But most people recognize him from George Costanza mostly. Mm-hmm. But he did some other works too. But like I say, they're having this thing that France is having. It all takes place in Paris, by the way. They have this thing called the Feast of Fools. Quasimodo wants to go, but he can't because of Frollo, his master, but the gargoyles are trying to encourage him, hey, you need to go. And there's also a gargoyle that sounds, sophisticated? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, me.
Kind of snooty.
Yeah, and you got an old lady gargoyle who is played by the old lady in Sister Act.
Yeah.
And besides that, he's ready to go to the Feast of Fools. But Frollo stops him and asks him, like, who are you talking to? He said, oh, my friends. He's like, and here's one thing I'm trying to figure out if, since Quasimodo is by himself, at first you kind of think if the gargoyles is just coming to life within his mind. But you see later on, they come to life for real. But if you left it as like a figment of his imagination because of his isolation, that would have been better. But
yeah.
But either way, hey, it's fine either way. And Frodo gives Quasimodo his lesson, which is the alphabet, which is pretty much Bible words like abomination,
damnation,
contrition.
Yeah, I can't remember what B was.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, eternal. Oh, I said damnation, eternal damnation. And then he went to say, when he got to F, it was supposed to be forgiveness, but he said festival. And Frollo got pissed because he's like, no, you're not going to the festival. Because no one's going to want to see you because you're a monster.
But here's the thing is, Frollo kind of guilt him, kept trying to say, oh, your mom abandoned you, I took care of you. I'm like, bullshit!
Yeah. So, anyways, the gargoyles managed to talk Quasimodo into going to the festival.
And he does his own... Well, before that, it was... Before, I don't think the gargoyles... It was before, Frollo talks to him. So after that, he sings his song and realizes, you know what, I'm going now. I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he goes, he wears like a little cape or whatever to hide his face.
It's kind of, it's like, oh yeah, it's like, surprised how people don't pick up on that.
Well, people thought that it was a mask. I mean, look at Esmeralda. When she first met Quasimodo, she thought that it was a mask.
I know. At least it's not like the trench coat and fedora hat in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I mean...
People are pretty dumb if you don't see that they're like mutated turtles.
I mean, we could argue that you're wearing a mask.
I could, but... but no, this is all natural.
So, anyway, so he goes... he meets Esmeralda, pretty much falls in love with her. It was like love at first sight. She's 16, by the way, in the novel.
If you guys read the novel, you're going to be fucked up what happens at the end.
The novel, from what I was looking at, it's completely different from the Disney version, which the Disney versions always turn out to be completely different from... like the actual versions.
Yes. Now
we should do something on that.
Maybe, but here's the thing. Before we do that, at the end, we should tell the difference between the ending from the movie and the book.
Well, I don't know the ending from the book because I have not read the book yet.
I have.
Okay. Well, Mike has read the book, so Mike.
Well, I haven't read it, but I read the synopsis.
Okay, so that can be all Mike right there.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll talk about when we get to the end. But before the Feast of Fools, Phoebus comes, helps out Esmeralda, that the guard's assuming that she stole the movie gold coins but technically she earned it. She was
dancing.
Street dancing,
Yeah. So, so then as Quasimodo is like wandering around, he gets pulled into the festival and he ends up getting crowned as the King of Fools. And they went to go pull off what they assumed his mask and realized that it wasn't his mask. So I also noticed that I think Esmeralda's clothes changed really quickly. Because Esmeralda was dancing at the festival. And she was all over Frollo at one point, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's true.
But she was wearing like a red dress, and then when we saw her again when she saved Quasimodo, and it was a very short amount of time, because Quasimodo, when he got pulled into the festival, and he was crowned as the King of Fools, one of the guards threw food at him. I think it was like a tomato or something.
Yeah, tomato.
And then everybody just started throwing stuff at him. Whether that was supposed to be part of it or not, I don't know. But they were throwing more food at him. And Esmeralda came in to save Quasimodo. At first, Phoebus wanted to save him, but Frollo was like, no, he needs to learn a lesson, because at this point, now Frollo knows that Quasimodo came down to the festival, and he's pissed. And so Esmeralda saves Quasimodo, and he escaped back to the cathedral, and then Frollo told the guards that they needed to find Esmeralda and arrest her. So they do, they find her at the cathedral, because she goes in, but they can't arrest her because Phoebus said that she claimed sanctuary.
Yeah, Phoebus was trying to save her.
Yeah. Because he was also in love with her. Shocker.
Oh, no, right? But here's the thing. Phoebus also knows Frodo's craziness of capturing
Romani people, yeah.
Romani people. But, yes. And, like I said, even he thinks it's crazy because, they're just regular people, which I agree with. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, people back then were not cool.
Yeah. I mean, they did use the word gypsies in this movie a lot. Like in music, like in the songs that they sung, everything like that.
Well, now since everything's politically correct now, that's why we...
I mean, this movie did come out 27 years ago.
Yeah, so maybe back then it wasn't a big deal, but since it is, I can see why.
Yeah. So, anyway, so Frollo's pissed now because, Esmeralda claimed sanctuary, which she really didn't. Phoebus did it for her. So he told her basically that he knows that his words were, gypsies don't like to be kept in stone walls. Which meant that she wasn't going to be able to stay in the church for very long because that's not how her people are. So she ends up meeting up with Quasimodo, and Quasimodo helps her escape. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is the song Hellfire that Frollo sings, because that, out of every single Disney, and I've seen quite a few of the Disney movies, and I think that's probably my favorite villain song out of all of the movies. Like, I mean, yeah, the song that Scar does in The Lion King is good, but this is like on a whole other level, because this song is based on the lust that he has for Esmeralda.
Yeah, and if you look at it, like, now if you pay attention, right, like when you look at the flames and stuff, he can see her in the like matching her in the flames, dancing, like, which is a good because flames are temptation, which I'm glad they use as a good reference. But also, it's kind of funny how he keeps looking at her, and at the end of the song, right, they say, "You all right?" His eyes are red. It's like, little problem at the fireplace. I'm like, yeah, problem at the fireplace. I know that look. Spending time on Pornhub, huh?
Yes.
The third Pornhub video.
Yeah. So, but that song is just
so great.
It's so dark.
So.
Because, like, normally when a villain sings a song, it's like, oh, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do, and oh, I'm going to take over, and Frollo is singing a song about how he wants to bang Esmeralda.
Pretty much, yeah. And also, like, they have, like, these hooded figures that represent Catholic priests, you can tell.
Yeah.
And they're faceless, you don't see them. And you can tell by the choir and everything.
I think they're singing in Latin.
Latin. You can tell they got a professional church choir to do this. It might not be a church choir, but you can tell they got professional.
Yeah, like, because in my opinion, Frollo is one of the best Disney villains that we've ever had, because he is so, like, to me, he seems more real.
Yes.
Because of his racism towards the Romani people, but then you also see that he's just he tries to say that he's a righteous man, but yet you also see that he has the feelings of like a regular man when his lust for Esmeralda was just like, I want to bang her, but she's gonna have to, if she doesn't want me, I'm a killer, basically.
Well, that's what happens in the Catholic Church. Sometimes they do give up their chastity to serve God, which, in my opinion, is not a bad thing. But here's the thing. All to the Catholic priest, get a wife. Change it.
Well, I mean, from what I've read is that the Catholics, which, if any of you are Catholics out there and you're listening to this,
no offense to you,
just, explain it to us in the comments below or whatever, but from what I've heard, the reason why priests aren't allowed to get wives was because back in, the olden days, way back when, they were allowed to have wives. But then they were when they would have children, they would kind of shoo them in to their position. So, that's what I vaguely remember reading. If I get that wrong, I'm sorry. Just, put it in the comments below.
And also, like I said, we're not offending people who are Catholic. Me, I'm an agnostic, so I really don't have nothing to say on that.
Yeah.
But I do know is, whatever she said, yes, put in the comments and below, see if she was right or not.
But to me, Frollo is probably, and I don't even really like Disney villains to begin with.
Yeah, because they're you get some that are say Jafar. Good Disney villain, but sometimes he is a little over.
Considering that Jasmine was supposed to be, and we can argue because Esmeralda was supposed to be 16 too at this point. So, it's just, he basically was just like, yeah, it was basically that if she wouldn't be with him, then he was going to kill her, and he wouldn't give a second thought about it.
Yes, and right there. And then after that,
they start the hunt for Esmeralda.
And Phoebus did not want to burn down the house. That helps out people who are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was the Miller's family. They were in a house, and they found something that would let them know that the Romani people could go there and rest. And he was just like, oh no, we're just doing this to help anybody who needs to rest. And they're like, well, you're under house arrest. And he tried to get Phoebus to set the house on fire. He wouldn't do it.
And
so they arrested him, kind of.
Well, he got away, got shot by an arrow. Esmeralda fell. He fell in the river. He saved him, took him back to the cathedral. And we have another song with the gargoyles before that, but I don't remember that much of it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Then,
I think they were talking about how Esmeralda
can love him because, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like one of those, it's kind of like your three friends who say, oh, you're not ugly. Come on, you get, trying to cheer him up, be like, he doesn't like a guy. You get the point. Yeah. Besides that, Quasimodo's seat, you could tell.
Yeah, when she brought in Phoebus, you could tell that Quasimodo was a little upset. And then Esmeralda and Esmeralda and Phoebus did share a kiss. And you could just see the heartbreak on Quasimodo's face because Quasimodo also loved Esmeralda. And he thought that I think what he did, and people sometimes do this, but I think what he did was he mistaken kindness for love, thinking that she loved him too.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Sometimes we can all go through that, like sometimes we don't understand. Because we always...
Like, it normally happens with, like, people who haven't had a lot of relationships or are very stunted in relationships, or, Mike, put your hand down, or younger children, or not younger children, but, like, teenagers, because...
Yeah, that's true.
Like, with Quasimodo only ever really interacting with Frollo and the gargoyles, he probably didn't even realize that what he was, like, that what she was doing was kindness, because he had never really had kindness before. And I don't even know if he ever had any. To me, it seems like that he might have interacted with some people in the church, because when Esmeralda came in for Sanctuary, they did, he was down, like, in the main part of the church, and one of the people there was like, hey, bell ringer, get back up to the tower, or something like that.
Yeah, it's true.
So he might not have much interaction with the people in the church, but I would like to think that he does have some interaction with the priest at the church.
Yeah, and after that, after Esmeralda helped with Phoebus, Frodo came. He knew that Quasimodo helped Esmeralda escape the first time. And after that, Phoebus wants to go find the Court of Miracles, and
Esmeralda had given Quasimodo a necklace earlier in the movie, and she had said, when you hold this map in your hand, you can find the Court of Miracles, or something like that. It rhymed. I can't exactly remember the exact saying, but they realized that, or Quasimodo realized that it was a map to find the Court of Miracles.
And before that, he didn't want to go because
he didn't want to help Phoebus. Well, not even that. It was he didn't want to upset Frollo any more than he already has.
Yes.
Because Frollo had freaking, like, emotionally abused this boy so much to the point where he was like, I'm a monster. I just need to stay up here where it's quote unquote safe.
Yes.
And so he didn't even want to go, but then he's just like, no, I'm going to go because I want to help Esmeralda.
Yes. And so they go, they find turns out it was in was it crypt?
Yeah, like a mausoleum type deal.
It was in the graveyard. It was an old crypt or something like that. Catacombs.
Yeah.
Yes. Catacombs, and the people who are from the Court of Miracles think they were spies, and the jester was like, no, let's hang them.
Yeah, they were going to kill them.
And they kept saying, we're not spies. And Esmeralda's like, no, they're our friends. They're not spies. He's like, well, why didn't you say so? We did.
Yeah, so they were like trying. So yeah, they got caught. Phoebus warned them that Frollo was going to be there at dawn to attack them. Well, they showed up before dawn because they followed Quasimodo, because they knew that Quasimodo was going to lead them to where Esmeralda was.
Wait, they followed him?
Yes, they followed him.
That sounds familiar.
What do you mean?
The government.
Oh, yeah.
They're always bothering us.
But no, they followed Quasimodo to the Court of Miracles so they could arrest the Romani people.
And Frollo said was going to execute her by fire. And he said...
Because for witchcraft.
And they chained Quasimodo in the bell tower. And the gargoyle's like, hey, do something. He's like, I can't. And, like... Frollo told Esmeralda, like, if you want to be alive, if you want to stay alive, come with me, be mine. And she
spit in his face.
He deserved it.
She did. He did, yeah.
And,
So,
well,
like, Esmeralda is like, she's an amazingly, like, strong character.
yes.
Because normally, like, yeah, she gets saved a lot, but then she also does saving. It's kind of like, and even though because I mean, she does have the love interest of Phoebus, but she doesn't constantly need saving like some of the other Disney princesses.
No, it's true.
Like, the only other Disney princess that I could think of that didn't constantly need saving was Mulan. Mulan and Moana. Those are the two. Those are my two favorite Disney princesses. And Merida. Don't forget about Merida.
Merida.
From Brave.
Oh, that. Yeah. What about, I know, what's her name? Tatiana from...
Tiana?
Yeah, from Princess and Frog.
Yeah.
Hey, she did most of the work.
That is true, yeah.
The prince, like, he did some work, but she did most of the work.
It was probably, I'm going to say probably about 96, which y'all can, you can all, if I get this wrong, but it just seemed like, because it seemed like probably about the mid-90s, around 96, was when they started giving us stronger female characters that didn't need to be saved by a man.
Well, yeah, that's
true. Because,
true.
I mean, like, look at Snow White. She was, the prince came, kissed her, woke her up. Cinderella,
got out of her mother's house and
her stepmother's house, married the prince, and then you got Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, who was sleeping most of the movie.
Got kissed and woke up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's true. And you can also tell, like, in Frozen, which I hate, by the way, no offense to people.
I don't like Frozen either.
Yeah, you know how, like, true love, turns out you didn't need a man for that. You just need her sister to break the curse.
That was sisterly love. So they've started, like, giving us more, like, strong female characters. And I think that this movie came out before Pocahontas. So, right there... Mike, shut the fuck up. So
that movie's hard to watch nowadays.
A little bit, yeah. But, I think Esmeralda was probably one of the first strong female characters that we actually had in Disney movies. But then you come out with Mulan, who she doesn't even really... They imply that she got together with Shang at the end of the movie, but they didn't actually explicitly state it until the second movie came out.
Yeah, and that was disappointing.
The second movie of that one was disappointing.
But, yes.
Okay, but besides, back on topic.
Okay, this is what happened next. Quasimodo frees her, gets Esmeralda from the fire, not waking up because of the smoke and stuff. Gets up to the bell tower.
He thinks that before that, he saves her from the smoke, from the fire, and he's like standing, and he's like,
sanctuary!
Yeah, he's yelling sanctuary, and then the people start revolting against Frollo.
Yeah.
And his soldiers.
Yeah, and I know that one old man who got put in the stockade. Like, there's a part in the movie where this old man, like...
He was in a cage.
And he's like, I'm free! And he gets put in a stockade. He's like, dang it! And he gets free from the stockade and goes, I'm free! And he falls into a sewer.
Yeah. I mean, it would probably be easier for him to get out of a sewer than it would be for him to get out of a stockade.
Well, yes. And they fight. Quasimodo and the gargoyles are trying to fight to get the soldiers off. Mm. And, they're winning. Frollo comes. Quasimodo thinks she's dead. Frollo comes ready to kill him. And he sees the shadow and he's like telling them, he's like, no, you fucked me up. You should be dead.
Yeah, I think it turned out that Quasimodo then found out that he was Romani and that Frollo had ended up killing his parents, basically.
Yes.
So then there was like a fight, and then a fight ensued, and Frollo was trying to... Esmeralda woke up. They were trying to get away from Frollo.
Had a sword. Yeah, a knife and a sword. I'm like,
yeah.
Where the hell did you hide that?
Up his ass.
whatever, right? Could be. Hey, he might enjoy that.
Yeah, but anyway, so he found them hanging off the side of the building, and so this is basically like the climax of the film, and he's trying to kill them while they're hanging off the side of the building. Frollo actually falls off the side of the building. Quasimodo grabs hold of his hand, I think it was.
No, actually, it was. What happened is they were dangling on those gargoyle spouts.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was like, and Esmeralda was trying to pick him up because he was ready to fall.
Yeah.
So Frollo was ready to take his sword to smite them, and it started to crack. Grabs onto the gargoyle spout. You can see him move. It's like
no. It was before that, because before he got up on that, Quasimodo was holding on to him.
That too.
And then he kind of like moved his body to where he could get up onto like the other gargoyle spout. And it kind of like the mouth of the gargoyle moved and it freaked him out, and then it broke
and he dies.
He fell to his death.
And Quasimodo can't wake up. He's ready to fall. Esmeralda falls, but gets catched by Phoebus.
Yeah, and then he kind of like Esmeralda shows up, and Quasimodo he took their hands and he intertwined them together. Kind of like that he was giving them his blessing to get married, even though he was the one that he wanted to be with Esmeralda, but he realized that he can't be with Esmeralda because Esmeralda was in love with Phoebus. Phoebus was in love with Esmeralda. In the book, though, fun fact, he's actually engaged to his cousin, from what I've read. So
Grody.
Yeah.
Sweet home Alabama.
Yeah, so
yes.
He kind of like he kind of did like a thing where he was signifying that they got married.
Yes.
Or they were going to get married.
And afterwards, Quasimodo comes out of the church, the little girl touches his face,
hugs him.
And everyone's accepting him, and they sing, talking about the happy ending, blah blah bull Disney bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing I'm going to ruin for you.
Well, before you ruin it for us, there is a second movie called The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. We did not watch that. But from what I read is that Esmeralda and Phoebus are married and they have a child that looks like Phoebus.
Yes.
So now, Mike, ruin the ending of The Hunchback of Notre Dame for us.
Well, see, in the movie, you get your happy ending.
Yes.
But in the book, Esmeralda dies, Quasimodo takes her, and years later someone finds him in some kind of a house with a disformed skeleton holding another skeleton, pretty much. In one way, Quasimodo and Esmeralda dies.
Damn.
I know, right? And I just ruined it for you.
Man, that's depressing.
I know, right? It's like,
oh man,
yeah,
that's very depressing.
Yeah, the guy who wrote it is
Victor Hugo.
Yeah, the same guy who wrote Les Miserables.
Did he also write the Phantom of the Opera?
No, that was another guy.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he wrote the book Les Miserables, big as the Bible, by the way. And also, it's a movie. Now it was a Broadway musical. Now it was a musical movie starring Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway.
Yeah. So there you go. That is The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
From France.
Yeah. I would love to go see Notre Dame. Like, the actual cathedral.
Yeah, too far from me.
I mean, it's in Paris. I've always wanted to go to France. So,
I'd rather go to Germany.
But, yeah, that's basically it. If you haven't seen it yet, where have you been? Go watch it now. It's on Disney Plus.
Not sponsored.
It's actually it's well worth it. Like, if you like the darker Disney films, this would definitely be right up your alley.
Well, yeah, it's really the dark films. At least one thing about Disney Plus, they always show the racist shit.
Yeah.
Wait. Except for Peter Pan. If you watch that one time, go see. Okay, let's see what's on. No, I'll watch Peter Pan, like the old movie Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
They put a disclaimer on it before it started.
I was waiting to see if they were going to put a disclaimer on the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which they didn't.
But they put a disclaimer on Peter Pan because of the
Indian tribe.
The Indian tribe and how everything was like. I knew it sooner or later.
Mean, they also put a disclaimer at the beginning. Well, they didn't do it. Disney Plus didn't do it, but I think it was like Max or something put a disclaimer before the beginning of Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, that's true too. But one time when Disney Plus was coming out, I had a friend who said, "You can watch every Disney movie on there." I'm like, "No, you can't." He's like, "Yeah, no, you can't."
There's one that you can't watch on there, and people are a little upset because
it. Like I said, my friend's like, "Okay, smart guy, what one Disney movie that's not on there?" I'm like, "Song of the South." He's like, "What Song of the South?" I'm like, "You're a Disney fan and you don't know what Song of the South is?"
Yeah.
It's like the racist Disney movie ever.
I heard that it wasn't as racist as people were making it out to be, because the guy that did perform in Song of the South, like, I think he was one of the first African Americans to actually win, like, an Oscar or a Gold Globe or something like that for his performance in Song of the South.
Yeah, but come on, you got.
But that's kind of like, but for that, like, that's actually kind of, I feel like it would actually be kind of disrespectful to him, because he obviously put a lot of work into into this movie that he was able to win something from it.
Yep. Well, right now, let's just say, be careful how you keep going, because we got a lot of people who are simple-minded.
That is true.
By that, I mean not people who are dumb or stupid. It's just you guys believe, like, it's like the whole system, believe in one thing and the other. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. But anyways, that's it for this episode of our podcast.
Yeah, like, subscribe, comment. And
did you like The Hunchback of Notre Dame? Like, leave that in the comments below, too.
And if you say yes, and if you do love it, if you do love the movie, put Hellfire in it.
Yeah.
/ Pornhub.
Don't put Pornhub in the comments.
I'm joking.
Just do, like, Hellfire and, like, the fire emoji. How about that?
Come on, you got...
My God, Mike. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Everything.
There you go. Everything's wrong with Mike.
Well, at least I'm not crazy. Ish.
Yeah, okay. Mike's crazy, by the way. So next week's hint is Chosen One. So, let's see if any of you can figure it out. Then I guess that's it. So you guys have a good New Year. Happy New Year. And we will see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.